What's up, everybody? Welcome to the next installment of Fresh Review Friday. This week, we are going to be covering a cigar that was sent to us by one of our fellow barrel burners and viewer of Dad Smoking Cigars, the Okie Show. So thank you so much for sending us these cigars. And he sent us a couple. I did it on the unboxing back a couple weeks ago when I did another review. But tonight's cigar is made in Montana, bringing back the heritage of cigar making for the state of Montana.
And I was there not too long ago, actually, in the place that this cigar was named for.
So this cigar is made by Big Sky Cigar Company, and it is the Yellowstone Hand Rolled. Let's check it out.
What's up, guys? You're watching Dad Smoking Cigars, and welcome to another edition of Fresh Review Friday. This week, we are reviewing a cigar that, as Tim said, was sent to us by a fellow barrel burner, and it is the Big Sky Cigar Company Yellowstone Hand Rolled.
Yes.
So, pretty excited about this one. Tim and I have actually been kind of on a, I guess what you could call a Connecticut or mild cigar kick, just because we have, for the longest time, been smoking a lot of medium to fulls, which we love them. Don't get us wrong. But sometimes you just want something a little bit more light and mellow, and something that's not going to knock you on your butt when you smoke it. So But obviously, as always, we will be using our Lotus cigar lighters and cutters, our Vertigo lighters and cutters, because that is the brand exclusively used by Dad Smoking Cigars. So Tim is going to, I don't think you're going to attempt the crown cut, are you?
I am not.
I'm going to be a little bit bold and daring.
Nice and straight, smooth.
All right.
One down, one to go.
Let's see how I do. Not quite perfect, but it works.
It's cut.
It's cut. So, all right, let's do a little dry draw notes. A bit of the filler decided to make its way to the back of my throat. Woo! That was smooth.
Is that a way to review a cigar? That's dusty.
Oh yeah, that's they're gonna love us over at Big Sky. The dry draw notes getting a little bit, and now we smelt it in the wrapper and the foot as well. A lot of cedar, almost a kind of a hint of pine, and like a honey cream.
A honey cream.
Almost like the butter they serve at what used to be Marie Callender's. But I'm gonna try and get a little bit more of that. As is usually typical, and I'm being redundant again. I don't know why I do that. As is typical with a lot of cigars, whether they be mild or a little bit more medium to full, you still get that bit of like dried fruit, dates, or sometimes raisins. Tim,
and there's some earthiness to it.
Yeah, definitely some earthiness to it. So let's go ahead and toast the foot and get this rolling.
There we go.
I'm going to use this one.
Kyle's going for the big boy.
Yeah, why not? So we wanted to announce it here that we are no longer calling this the HQ, but we're calling it the Dad Smoking Cigars Fort. Because Tim went crazy, like he does, being the audiophile that he is, constantly seeking ways to perfect what we do here and how
for
we
your
sound.
Listening pleasure.
And I'm not saying I don't appreciate it, but sometimes I'm just like, dude, you are like Frankenstein's monster with this crap. Or he's building Frankenstein's monster. He is Dr. Frankenstein with a freaking studio space. But again, he does it for you guys, and he also does it because he's an obsessive compulsive perfectionist.
That's good.
Very good. Very smooth.
So the makeup of this, just real quick so everybody knows, it is an Ecuadorian Connecticut seed wrapper. And then it is a completely Esteli Nicaraguan binder and long filler with its makeup. So Connecticut through and through as far as light-bodied, mild-bodied. But it has completely Nicaraguan tobacco as the, like I said, binder and filler, and the wrapper is an Ecuadorian Connecticut seed shade wrapper.
Light cream, definitely getting a lot of that earthiness. but very smooth, subtle sweetness on the back end of the tongue. And but yeah, man, this is very tasty right off the bat.
There's a flavor that I can't identify.
What's the closest thing you can liken it to?
It's I'm
wait for it.
Loading.
It's like an old PlayStation game.
No, there's an earthiness, but it's almost like an aromatic earthiness, almost like something you would bake with in the kitchen. It'll come to me. I'll figure it out. But it's almost like an Italian spice.
I'm not quite getting what you're getting, but that may
probably not many people will, because it's my brain, and
that may change later. So we'll see.
But yeah, definitely the lighter notes, creamy, not really too much buttery at all.
No, it's not like some other Connecticut's we tried where it's kind of got that like
buttery cracker,
almost a little bit of a graham cracker toasted marshmallow, which is fine. But it's definitely very tasty right off the bat. Quite good.
And there is some white pepper initially that's there too.
Very subtle though.
Very subtle on the back of the palate.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, we've cut, we've lit, we've told you all about it. We're going to jump into the first third, and we'll see you guys in a second. All right, guys, we have finished the first third of the Big Sky Cigars Yellowstone hand-rolled, and it is good, but it is a surprising Connecticut because there is quite a bit of spice to it.
And it's subtle, but it's there. You can detect it like kind of on the tip and even the back of the tongue after you take your draw and blow the smoke out.
And it stays for a while, too.
It does stay for a little bit. It lingers. And obviously, as you can see, the ash is holding on pretty good. We haven't had to tap it off once.
Nope.
And the burn, I've only had to correct it once just because it got slightly wonky at the beginning, and I wanted to just start off on a good note.
And I haven't corrected mine at all, and it's doing well. It's a little bit tapered there.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's doing really well.
But it's a nice, tasty, mild cigar, just with that little bit of spice, subtle kick on the front and back end, interestingly enough. Which I don't think I've ever really experienced that. One with the Connecticut, and two where the spice kind of like was on the front and back end of the smoke. Usually it's one or the other.
Right.
And no burn or pepper really on the retrohale, but just mostly on the puff. That's really it. But
and I figured out what that flavor was that I was calling Italian earlier. Off camera, I told Kyle, I said it's almost like pasta. And I went, wait, there's like an earthiness to it. It's like an oregano. And Kyle says he's not getting it, and that's fine.
I mean, I can kind of see why Tim would get that a little bit. It's kind of mixed right in there with the white pepper in my opinion, because it's kind of like two slightly different profiles that coexist. Where, I mean, that might have been what we were tasting the whole time as opposed to white pepper.
It's almost like a leafy earthiness. And so I guess that's why I'm calling it oregano, because oregano has sort of
leafy earthiness in a cigar.
I know, right? How does that happen with this? It's just leaves grown from the earth.
Exactly.
But yeah, so those are our thoughts, really. I mean, flavor notes, we just sort of gave them to you. It did start off with the honey cream and some different things like that. Went into much more prominent woody notes.
There's still a subtle creaminess to it, though. I just got that a little bit from the retrohale and just the flavor that I'm getting right now. But yeah, it's pretty tasty.
Yeah, not bad at all.
I'm enjoying it.
So those are our thoughts on the first third of the Big Sky Cigar Company, designed in Montana. I was reading the label, the band on it. But those are our thoughts on the first third. We'll be back with our thoughts on the second third in just a second.
Be right back. All right, guys, we are back, and we are in the final third of the Big Sky Cigar Company Yellowstone hand-rolled, and the flavors have remained pretty consistent. There hasn't been too much transition in terms of the flavor notes. Still getting a lot of cedar, a lot of that earthiness, slightly, I just said cedar, so the woodiness is still there. Still a hint of cream and some of that spice that Tim was talking about.
Yep. Also picked up breadiness is much more prominent at the end of the first third as it went through the second third. As you can see, the ash hold is doing really well, but the breadiness did pick up quite a bit more. And peppery, really, for me, it's just sort of
a little bit more pepper right there.
It's coating the tongue completely for me.
Yes.
And so it's almost like a not in a bad way, but like a peppery film that just it's there. It coats your mouth.
I would definitely agree
coats your
with that.
mouth, and it's really good though.
Yeah. And of course, we are documenting all our thoughts in our Dad's Cigar Journal.
Yes.
And as we mentioned before, it definitely is a very detailed journal if you want to document all your thoughts, some of your thoughts, or just a couple of things here and there. There's plenty of room to write. There's plenty of places you can fill in random thoughts you had afterwards, etc. Yep. It's pretty well diversified. So if you want to pick up a copy, go to dadsmokingcigars.com and click on shop and head on in there and pick yourself up a copy of Dad's Cigar Journal.
Exactly. And so we're going to jump into the final third. I know Kyle's just a little bit ahead of me. He is into the final third. I'm going to catch up to him, and we will come back once again real quick. Shout out to Dave, the Okie Show, for sending these to us. We appreciate it.
Thank you,
We'll be
Dave.
back with our thoughts on the final third in just a second.
See you then.
All right, guys, we are back with our thoughts on the final third of the Big Sky Cigar Company Yellowstone hand rolled, and it has been a really good cigar.
Oh yeah.
And you know that Kyle mentioned we've changed up the HQ a little bit here, and that he now calls it the fort because of the way that we've got the sound dampening going on.
We got blankets all around.
It's
in fact,
great.
we'll as you saw
check out our Instagram.
Yeah, check out our Instagram. And earlier we threw up a video just kind of showing what Tim did. You know, Harbor Freight moving blankets, nice little sound dampener.
There you go. Can't go wrong with those.
No, but those aren't the only changes we've made in terms of our broadcast and format. So Tim's going to tell you a little bit about that.
So what we've done recently is, and for all of you that are listening on it, we have started putting all of our review videos in audio format for podcast. We went through a platform called Anchor.fm or Anchor. Great platform. It's free. You can monetize it. They actually distribute it all for you to all the major podcast platforms, whether it's Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, and a lot of different ones. So if you're actually listening on the Anchor podcast, thank you so much for subscribing and listening. That way we know it's not always easy to check out a YouTube video or see what we've posted, but the podcast, if you're driving, it makes it really easy to at least catch what we're up to.
Yeah, it's not distracting either. You're not trying to watch a video and catch details, which, Tim and myself, we like to throw up a little bit of, funny little things periodically.
Animated
in the videos.
GIFs are fun.
Yes, but if you want just straight audio, then definitely go check us out on those platforms. Right now, like Tim said, we're primarily on Spotify and Anchor, so those are the places you can find us right away. There are more platforms coming that you can find us on, so it won't be long before you can pretty much find us anywhere.
There you go. So in rating this cigar, going through the different notes, quickly I'll go through it. For flavor, I gave it an 18 out of 20 because it had great flavor. It wasn't one note by any means, and in a lighter bodied cigar, they typically don't transition a ton, and it was a very true Connecticut and a very true Nicaraguan, barring the wrapper on it. And I actually picked up a little bit of sort of like a salted caramel savory note to it. And then one of the flavor notes that I also mentioned to Kyle just a second ago was it's like when you toast a bun on a barbecue grill. They're sort of like a toasted bread, and it's really, really good.
And I've reached the end.
There you go. So mine, flavor 18 out of 20. Flavor transition, I give it a 19 out of 20 because it just continued to develop a little bit more as it went on. The burn, I gave it a 17 out of 20. Had to correct it a couple times. Smoke output, 10 out of 10. I mean, you can see it just goes and goes.
Tim and I rated ours very similarly just because we had pretty much the same experience, with a couple slight variations. So I think when it came down to it, Tim and I got it to around a 92.
Yeah, I'm at a 92. The bands did come off, both the foot band and the main band did come off cleanly, slid right off, so that's always a great thing. So we rate this together as a 92 out of 100 for our review for this of the Big Sky Yellowstone hand rolled, and it is very good. And thank you again to Dave. I know we've said it in the last segment, but thank you, Dave,
very much, Dave,
for sending these to us for us to check out. And we hope we have given you guys a little bit of insight on our thoughts.
And definitely worthwhile cigar to pick up and try. I think if we ever have the chance, we will try it again.
Yes, definitely. So for the Dad Smoking Cigars, he's Kyle. I'm Tim. We will catch you next time. As always, we'll see ya.